Okie dokie. Here we are, a Roundtable Ravens episode 6. I am once again joined by my co-host Billie Melissa. I can't talk. I am still suffering from my cold, so my voice might sound a little bit off, but we have so much to talk about. Starting with a bit of breaking news that happened late last night. John Harbaugh is now going to be the head coach of the New York Giants. This
Congrats to them.
Yeah, honestly, this was not a shock. Everybody assumed and thought that he was going to go to the Giants. If not the Giants, definitely the Titans.
Mhm.
He didn't. There was. I don't think any other team really had a opportunity or had a chance to get John Harbaugh simply because it was already reported that he wanted to have an established quarterback situation. Both of those situations would have been good for him. Jackson Dart, obviously, he has now, or Cam Ward. Everybody else, you know what I mean? Like, not really in the best position quarterback wise. But congratulations to Harbaugh. It makes total sense for him to be with the Giants. I think it's good that he's joining the NFC so the Ravens don't have to play him immediately.
Yeah,
I
they're
think,
not on our schedule for next year, so
yeah, I think in
no
2028.
immediate, maybe,
Yeah. I
maybe.
think they played last season, so it's every 4 years. So I believe 2028 would be the revenge game if anybody even cares by then. But um,
Yeah.
more breaking news actually with it. Don't know. This isn't been confirmed, but there is a very strong chance, rather, unless he gets a head coaching opportunity, which I don't think that he will. Todd Monken will be joining Harbaugh's staff as the offensive coordinator for the Giants.
I think you'll have a lot of fun over there. I mean, I watched a few Giants games this season and they were almost there every time, like, and then
Mhm.
they kind of fell through the cracks. So, like, they had a lot of promising stuff. So, I'm excited to see what he can do. I think Monken will do some good stuff with Dart.
Yeah, definitely. So from what I've been reading and stuff, the Steve Bisciotti and DeCosta are not preventing most of the coaching staff from joining Harbaugh, which I think is going to be his plan. Is he's going to take a bunch of staff from the Ravens over to the Giants. I don't know if that includes Zach Orr or not. We'll see.
Mm.
But they are blocking a few, but not all of the coaching staff. So they did indicate in what are this episode's gonna be about. They did indicate, obviously, not so much as saying like straight up, but they pointed to the fact that there's going to be sweeping changes regardless. And
Yeah.
anytime there's a new head coach hire, they always bring in their own staff anyway. So this is not really that much of a shock that
Mhm.
there's going to be a coaching staff overhaul with the Ravens. But, Todd Monken is still interviewing for head coach opportunities. I don't know that he's going to get one yet. But regardless, if he doesn't, he's got a job with Harbaugh. So.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll be good where I think his career is set. I think he's gonna go wherever he goes, he'll do some great things. I'm just sad that he couldn't be with us. I loved Monken. I really enjoyed his time with the Ravens. I loved watching what he did. He transformed the offense amazingly, and I think he got a bad rap for some bad decisions that he's fully aware of because I saw him speaking on some podcasts about regretting the Chiefs game, and
Mhm.
so I think he's learned from his mistakes and stuff, and he knows what to do next.
Definitely. Which leads us right into like the main thing. So Steve Bisciotti and
Came
Eric
out of hiding
DeCosta.
for the first time in seven
Yeah. Yeah.
years.
So they had a really big, long press conference. It was
Over
over
an
an hour
hour.
long. Yeah, and they just talked about everything. They talked about the head coach hire. Steve Bisciotti literally broke down why he called John Harbaugh to basically fire him
Yep,
and
confirmed that.
confirmed that he did give him a call, and what I thought was really funny was he said that he was the one that was choked up and Harbaugh was the one that was consoling him. I thought that was really
Yeah.
funny, but it was honestly a really good, heartfelt, and honest look at the Ravens organization.
Mhm.
Bisciotti went deep into the fact that like, A, he's not gonna pass the succession on to his family. He's instead gonna sell the team when he's ready to do so. He also
It's
said,
coming soon.
yeah,
10, 15 years
10,
left.
10, 10-ish years, he said that he would be with the team. And he's also there's a lot. There's a lot that they
So
went
much.
over. And honestly, it was good to see both of them kind of talk about the game plan. One of the things that I wanted to jump in immediately that I thought was the most interesting, which is what we talked about previously in a previous episode, was the fact that depth has been an issue for the Ravens, those
Yeah,
second, third
they
tier
acknowledge
players.
that.
Yeah, they acknowledged that in a big way, but even more so, DeCosta kind of confirmed. Again, he did offer a little bit of coach speak about it, but did confirm that the Ravens are going to be taking bigger swings at free agents this
Yeah.
coming up free agency, which I thought was really, really interesting. The fact that he said that. This is something that we talked about, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like they're finally seeing kind of like the errors of their ways in the way that they've handled the roster in the past few seasons. And that's not to
Mhm.
say that the Ravens roster has been terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but
Not
it's
at all.
just no, yeah. But you just look at what happened this season. You look at it from the grand scheme of things, and like Derrick Henry, Kyle Van Noy. Those are kind of like the two biggest, but those are longtime veterans already that they brought over. Other than that, they haven't really been taking big swings on anybody.
No.
And you know, he did say that they have a good nest egg, which they have 24 million in cap right now. Obviously, they're going to be doing the deal with Lamar that should significantly raise that amount in March. They said before March, before free agency starts. But so this is whoops, this is what he said. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, so he was talking about the deal and he said, quote, it would certainly give us more flexibility, cap-wise, roster building. I think we have done a good job. We carried out over $10 million in money, probably double what we have in the last however many years. We do have a nice little nest egg, not as much as we'd like. A deal with Lamar would give us the ability to be more active, to re-sign some more players on the team, and potentially go after a couple of big ticket items. We haven't traditionally done that. We've been, as you know, more reserved in free agency. So this is something that we have talked about before
Hmm.
here on the pod, and it makes total sense that now is the time to kind of go away from what you're normally doing with the roster and go after those bigger guys because you do have a bigger need. Obviously, you want to build through the draft, which the Ravens aren't terrible at doing, as you can see. Ronnie Stanley, you got all the players that came up through the system that are really good,
It's
but
really our skill is Eric's little finds as he's learned under Ozzy, who was the Wizard of Oz for a reason.
yeah.
That's really where we come from. But it seems like they want to set up the next coach in the best possible way they can, and that includes taking those bigger swings and taking some risks.
Yeah,
Financially,
definitely.
that is.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I mean, like you, like again, like I brought up previously, like you look at the offensive line, you look at the secondary, you look at the pass rush, like mainly the pass rush. For me, defensively, like you still like Marlon Humphreys, he's trending down, but that doesn't mean he can't come back up. And you still got Kyle Hamilton, you got a Woozy, you still have more so playmakers on that side of the ball, but with the lack of pass rush, of course, it's going to be harder for them to do their job. So you need a blue chip pass rusher, whether it's somebody like high up in the first round, or you trade up to get that person, that young dynamic pass
Mhm.
rusher, or you swing for somebody bigger. You know what I mean? Somebody
Yeah.
that's in the near the double digit sack count for the 2025 season and before that. But you have to fix that pass rush.
Yeah, I'm keen to see who he's got his eye on. I'm sure he's got some ideas of where he wants to spend that money. So, and also because you mentioned Marlon, I saw him talking, saying that he had a conversation, I think, with Eric about his position on the team next year. And he said that Eric gave him a percentage of whether he would likely be back, and Marlon said he liked his percentage. So I assume that means Marlon's coming back next season, which, people are not have been kind of debating whether he might be someone that gets traded out into the world. But I don't know, maybe. But Marlon loves a little game on the internet, so I don't know how much to trust him with what he
I
says.
mean, usually when cover corners start to lose their ability to be cover corners, they move them to safety. So
Mm.
that could be a situation where they had just gotten, oh God, what's his name? Oh my God, what's the safety that was hurt and came back?
Oh,
Oh,
Gilman,
yes, Gilman. Well, they had got Gilman, but now there's, hold on, my brain is not braining right now because of this cold, I'm sure.
taking
Um,
over.
yeah, it's turning my brain to mush. Uh, ah, it is, who am I thinking of? Oh my God, where is he? Anyway, this is taking too long, and I didn't mean for this to take too long. But the point being is, um, oh my God,
Trina Woozy?
not Awuzie. This is a safety that just came back from injury. Oh my God, what is going on? Anyway, whatever. It's I'm chewing up too much time. The point being, if there is an opportunity there, if he cannot be a cover corner to move him to safety and kind of work with the secondary in that sense and move things around, and then bring in that younger corner or that free agent corner that can take Marlon's spot and he can act more in the backfield with Gilman and do something like that. Like they can
And
change
that
up his
frees up Kyle as well.
exactly, like he can stay towards the front of the line of scrimmage like he has been. He's been very effective there, and Gilman and Humphrey in the back. You got Kyle Hamilton closer to the front,
And
and then you
Nate,
got yeah, and Nate, and then you got your cover corners. So we'll see. I mean, but the bottom line is that's what they need. You know, they need secondary, they need offensive linemen, they need to solidify the offensive line again. Um, because they got to protect Lamar. You can't have what happened this time around again. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So that was one of the most interesting things I thought that they talked about is that to go away from tradition, which maybe this season was that breaking point for them to realize like, oh, we do have to go out and actually try to get some upper echelon players that you have to spend a little bit more money for.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see who they go shopping around for. I reckon there might be some deals done in the draft, maybe before.
I mean,
Eric loves
free
a little surprise moments.
Yeah, free agency starts March 11th, I believe it is. It's really early March, and so the other thing they talked about that Bisciotti confirmed, and then Eric DeCosta talked about, like I quoted earlier, is that they want to get a deal with Lamar done quickly. They want to get it done
Yeah, way
before
before the
March.
draft.
So they want to get it done before March for free
Yeah,
agency because, like I had brought up, you rework that deal, your cap number is going to go up significantly, and they want even more wiggle room to go out and get those free agents when the free agency starts in March.
yeah. They were
So
quite honest about how difficult it was last time when they were doing it in 2022, and that went right down to the wire, like literally draft night. I think it happened, or the day before the draft.
mhm,
So this time I think that they're conscious of that and want to get it done way before.
definitely. Um, Yeah, so that and speaking of Lamar, I thought one of the other most interesting things that both Steve Bisciotti and Eric DeCosta brought up is the fact that Lamar is going to be included in the head coach search.
Yeah,
I
and the
thought,
final 4 or 5.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So Bisciotti spoke about it. He did say that he contacted Lamar and he said, it's up to you. You can be in these meetings, you can be in these interviews. And he indicated that Lamar is going to take him up on that offer
yeah,
and be in those at least the final five. As you said, I know that they're interviewing a bunch of people, as are other teams, minus the Giants because they went after Harbaugh. But all the other teams are interviewing 10 plus candidates right now. They're going to whittle those candidates down to like probably five-ish, and then those candidates are going to be chosen from. Right now, the Ravens are still interviewing people. They still have a laundry list of interviewees that they need to get through. But once they whittle that down, DeCosta is going to take those final five to Bisciotti, who is then going to give notes or whatever, whatever. But he
yeah.
did say that he wants Lamar to be a part of the process, which I think is very important. The main thing here, especially now that Harbaugh is gone, is it doesn't really matter overall who you get in a sense of like that is I don't mean to say it like that. It matters more so this coach has to work well with Lamar Jackson, period.
Yeah, for sure. I think that Bisciotti was saying that he has taken himself out of the equation. He's going to step in at the 4 to 5 final few when they come to Baltimore and actually meet. So right now it's EDC, Ozzy, and Sashi Brown, who's team president,
Hmm.
kind of focusing on that. And then Lamar's going to come in. But something I really liked was when I think someone asked him, "Oh, how much power does Lamar have?" And he very clearly said that Lamar has a say, but
Hmm.
Bisciotti has the power. He's like,
Yeah,
"I've got the
yeah,
power,"
yeah,
which I found really a nice diplomatic way to basically say, like, "I'm in charge here. Remember who owns this team."
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he did state that very clearly. He said, everyone has a say, but the choice is ultimately mine, which
Yeah,
obviously it would be. He's the owner of the team. Like, why would it not be his? But again, I still think it's very important to get Lamar in on these meetings and have him get a sense of who these coaches are, defensive or otherwise.
yeah,
It doesn't whoever it's going to be, if it's a defensive minded coach, they then have to find that perfect offensive coordinator for Lamar Jackson to work well with Lamar Jackson. They made it very abundantly clear, as was already reported when John Harbaugh was fired, that the team was choosing Lamar Jackson, which obviously, why
mm,
wouldn't you?
yeah,
That is your marquee star player. That is the face of the organization, the person that matters the most in the grand scheme of things. You have to find somebody that can elevate him to that next level. He's already got two MVPs, but he doesn't have the playoff resume to back that up. He's
yeah.
he's played very poorly in the playoffs. I think it's like 10 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, passer rating 86 something. It's not like awful, awful, but it's not gotten you to the big show. And that's the ultimate thing for this next head coach.
But then here's where I get irked by that. When you've got people dropping the ball every big, like for these, I think that those playoff losses are um, big team losses, and that even Bisciotti and EDC spoke about that in this
Mm.
press conference.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
saying, we take that our players in general are not performing. Our
Hmm.
team in general is not performing based on seeding, alone.
Hmm.
Like when they're going into playoffs, they are not showing up as the people. They are quite pissed off that people are calling them underachievers when they're
Hmm.
this amazing team in the regular season and they come to the final thing. And I think that Bisciotti and EDC seem to feel confident that's a coaching issue and can be coached out of these players. I guess we'll see it when this head coach gets us to the playoffs and see if that does change the issues or if we see those things that historically have kind of been present in the playoffs.
Hmm.
It's definitely marking a new era, seeing where we're going to go with Lamar from here. And I agreed with you about the defensive mind coming in at head coach. They're going to have to find the perfect offensive mind to kind of coalesce with Lamar. I'd be interested to know if their quarterback coach is sticking around. He is a
Hmm.
big part of the success of Lamar. He's a big part of that quarterback room. I'd be very devastated to see him walk out of the door with Hobbs, but I hope that he gets to stick around and stay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not putting this all on Lamar by any means, but and maybe that is a coaching thing. This is it's a coaching thing that you're not putting your players in the best possible positions. They're
Yeah.
not catching the ball, whatever the case may be. It's not all Lamar, but looking at the whole picture of it, you haven't been in the Super Bowl with a two-time MVP
Yeah.
quarterback. It's insane. It's insane
Yeah.
to even say that. You know what I mean? Like, and not be in the Super Bowl. So, whoever this coach is, whoever the offensive coordinator is, they have to hit the mark, and they have to be the right person, like you just said, to coalesce with Lamar Jackson and make sure to get those things right.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff that they said, but another interesting tidbit is Steve Bisciotti did say that he would be patient, but he would give this next coach only like six
Maximum
years,
6 seasons.
6 seasons, which is
He was like, Brian Billick did it in 2, John Harbaugh did it in 5. I might give this guy 6.
right.
So, no pressure to this guy. But Lamar will be 34, 35 by that time. So, if you really can't get to the Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson in the next couple of years, but he was saying very like explicitly, he was like, I'm not doing this head coach
Mhm.
search 3, 4 years from now. I've watched my other colleagues in the league do this. I don't want to do that. So they're taking this very seriously, and whoever comes in, and they said, Bisciotti said he was like, I'm looking for the next John Harbaugh. No one expected us to pick John. He was a special teams guy. He was
Mhm.
just not the top of the list, and he come in and change things. So they might end up going for this left of field pick that no one expects, who actually might deliver the best results.
No, absolutely. And anybody. It could be anybody. I mean, look at what
Mhm.
happened. Dan Campbell, I think, was the special teams, our special teams coach, the Dolphins special teams coach. That he got promoted to interim head coach, and then he went through the system, and then now he's the head coach of the Lions. And turned them around. So you
Those
don't
special teams guys, let's start looking at them.
you
They
never
can be
you
good.
the point is you never know what you're going to get from a
Yeah.
coach regardless of what level they're at. It doesn't have to be a previous coordinator, it doesn't have to be whatever, but in my opinion, I think that the Ravens are going to go for somebody more qualified that has at least part of a head coaching resume. To be honest, I wouldn't be the least bit shocked if Kevin Stefanski becomes the next head coach, but we'll see.
They said they were looking at winning records.
I know they were saying that winning records, but at the same time, he did say that
They're
Bisciotti
willing
did.
to take a little bit of a risk.
Right, but I mean, you look at Kevin Stefanski, like that's not Kevin Stefanski's fault by any means, like yes and no, but whatever. The point being, like, I don't think they're gonna take as much of a flyer on somebody, but we'll see. They're going through
No,
candidates. There is so many. Again, we keep saying this, and they're gonna keep saying this. There's so many good candidates this time around. They're
they've
just
already seen 10,
yeah,
10 great guys who would all bring something different, different ages, different levels of experience. I guess we'll see what kind of road they're looking to walk down.
yeah. I mean, the other funny thing too that Bisciotti did say that they broke the news to him during the press conference that
Yeah, about
that
Mike
Mike
Tomlin.
Tomlin walked away from the Steelers, and he said he's like, oh, they're like, would you hire him? He's like, only if John Harbaugh takes the
Takes
Steelers
the
job.
best man.
That would have been
Well,
so yeah, right.
Tomlin, you're
Imagine,
out. Sorry
imagine
about
they just
it.
flipped. Oh, oh,
I would, for one season alone, just love to see what would happen. Just a little, like, a
right.
little, maybe in like 5 years from now, when Lamar's got a couple Super Bowls under his belts, they can just play a little game of like one season,
Yeah,
flip it
right.
around.
But going back to what you were saying about Lamar being 35, 34, or whatever in the next 6 years, I wrote about this, but you're absolutely right. The window to win a championship is closing rapidly. As a quarterback, you don't, and that's not to say that no quarterback. I mean, look at Tom Brady.
Tom
He
Brady,
played well into his
Manning,
40s. Yeah, I think Mahomes is going to do the same thing. Aaron Rodgers did, but
and look where that got him.
right. But the point being is the window closes rapidly. He's already 28, I believe, right?
He's
20,
29,
29. He's 29. And
just turned 29.
again, two MVPs. He could have had a third. I think he should have had that third, but whatever. That's a conversation for another day. But the point being is like his every quarterback, every player is going to go up and then taper and then start to go down. You know what I mean? And you have to capitalize on him now being this good. Obviously, 2025, he was hurt throughout the entire season, but that is an outlier compared to the rest of his resume. He's always been solid. So you can't waste those years. You got to find the person that's going to work right with him
Yeah.
immediately and get running and get going. You know what I mean? And you got to fix that roster. They're already working on that. Take those bigger swings. And yeah,
And Derek Henry's one more year on his contract. And
I
I
mean,
personally would really, I mean, he's going to stick around as long as he's as good as he stays. And I think he's going to be great for a while. But like, I want to see Lamar and Derek Henry win that Super Bowl together. They deserve it. Their chemistry on the field is amazing. I think it's going to really mean a lot to this group of guys who've kind of been through the trenches together, who've kind of come out the other side. And, I would love to see them end up winning that Super Bowl altogether and not kind of having to go through loads and loads of roster changes.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, yeah, Derrick Henry at his age as a running back,
Still stiff
right?
arming guys right to the
Yeah,
floor.
he played so good this season, and he just doesn't even look like he's slowing down at all. Like it's
Feels like he's getting
insane.
better,
Yeah, he's gotten better with age, which is not usually the case for any player in the NFL,
especially
especially
running backs.
yeah, and the running back, usually like 28, 29, you can start to
Mhm.
see that little bit of a dip, but Derrick Henry is still powering through people, still playing very well, and that too, you can't waste these good running years for Derrick Henry, whatever remaining years he has left. You got to capitalize right now. Like he's still continuing to show that he's the guy. Hand him the damn ball, and let him go to town. Um, and
Hopefully,
so
whoever comes in an offensive coordinator knows that's the rule. Give the ball to Derek Henry.
yeah, I mean, Monken talked he had a lot of self-awareness, and
Yeah.
that other podcast, he was like, yeah, I didn't coach the best, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, I mean, underutilizing Derrick Henry should have been the main thing that was talked about every week. Like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. The season was not good. They're out of the playoffs. They fired John Harbaugh. Now they move on to this new era of Ravens football. It's going to be a brand new coaching staff, and we'll see what happens. I mean, who do you think right now, or who is your favorites right now to get the job, or who do you have your eye on?
Of the people they've interviewed so far, I think the fan base is very pro Brian Flores. That seems to be what everyone's shouting in the comments. For me, I like the idea of Jesse Minter. I like the idea of someone kind of in the Harbaugh realm just because they're familiar with the culture. Bisciotti was very clear that when they come into this organization, they need to be familiar with the culture and adding to it, not changing it, adding
Hmm.
to it. I like that they interviewed Jim Schwartz. I said it in the few podcasts ago, Brown's defensive coordinator.
Hmm.
I love what they do on the field. I think they're incredible. And if he wants to steal Myles Garrett in the night and bring him over to Baltimore, that'd be great. We can't afford him, but I would love it. Yeah, I think those are the ones jumping out at me right now. Again, I think maybe Clint Kubiak as well.
Mm.
Again, kind of connected in a way loosely to the Harbaugh tree. But they said on Tuesday they had 8 or 9 more guys to go through, and they've only
Hmm.
done 2 since then. So there could be some surprising candidates because right now these are all the candidates that they expected to kind of have
Hmm.
come through, the names that were floating around. So I'm keen to see all these guys that they're not people aren't really talking about. Again, like Anthony Weaver as well, familiar with the culture. I don't
Hmm.
know if that's really like my top pick right now, but. Yeah. Oh, one thing I did want to mention from the conference was Eric finally gave an update on Nnamdi Madubuike,
Oh
who
yeah.
we've all been waiting to hear more about because he's a massive difference maker. Bisciotti and EDC made it very clear that they could notice that Kyle Van Noy wasn't up to um, what he could do this season
Hmm.
because no one had to be on the other side double teaming Beaks. So yeah, didn't really give much of an update. He said he wasn't going to talk about him, go into details. I'm nervous that he might not get to come back. That's going to be a massive hole on that side without him. I'd really, really like to see who can fill those shoes because, he was such a difference maker for us.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. It was an update of not an update. It was just a hey, like sorry, we don't have an update for you. Our Darius Washington is who I was thinking of.
Yes,
That
yeah, yeah.
that just came back from injury. And yeah, he's another safety option. Anyway, yeah, definitely. It sucks. That's a really big playmaker that just you're kind of like what's going on, and they didn't really have much of an update in terms of like they couldn't tell, they didn't say anything about it really. They just
Mhm.
said they would update when there's an update, but there's no update. So
There's no update. Yeah, I think we saw something very similar with Tyus Bowser a couple seasons ago. He was kind of on the roster, but wasn't really anywhere to be seen. And then, like, I think things came out that they kind of had a falling out. I don't think that's the case with BK, but yeah, I don't know. I'd be really sad if his season career ended like that. Like, I really want to see him come back and make. So hopefully, that being vague about it isn't being vague about it to the point where he's not coming back at all. But I think that was something that I was surprised to hear them talk about, because that, no one's really brought him up or spoke about him in a really long time.
yeah, yeah, we'll see what happens. It's kind of
We'll see. Hopefully he comes back.
yeah. um it was a neck injury, right? Like
It was a neck, yeah.
yeah, so those injuries too, sometimes it sucks because like they they'll take time away to hope to let it heal or whatever.
Hmm.
But then oftentimes they're like doctors are like, if you play again, you're screwed. So then they
Yeah.
don't come back, which sucks. Maybe like obviously the way that Bisciotti and DeCosta talked about it might be that situation, but we don't know. They
Yeah.
didn't they didn't really say much of anything, probably because they don't want to say things too early in a case of like if he's able to recover over the offseason, 2026 he can come back or even
Yeah.
2027. I don't know.
It was
But
nice of them to just be candid about his like impact on that defensive line and how it did, I think, massively impact them. And
yeah.
Kyle Van Noy specifically, the ability for him to do anything was limited because of that. So if they can't, if he is that is the case, I think we might see on draft night that they're kind of looking to fill that hole.
Hmm.
It's a big hole to fill,
Yeah.
massive hole to fill.
No, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I mean he had 2 sacks in the 2 games that he played in 2025. Like, come on. Probably would have had double-digit sacks. Like, it
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah,
It,
he's
it,
a
it-
great.
yeah, it sucks. But going back to the question of favorite candidates thus far.
Mhm.
I do like the Brian Flores. I do like the Jesse Minter. Offensively, honestly, the one that intrigues me the most right now is Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
I think he's a really, really good offensive coach. He did a lot of really great stuff with Jaden Daniels that first season. Obviously,
Yes.
Jaden Daniels had a similar 2025 season as Lamar. He got hurt several times. It just wasn't the same. I was very shocked the Commanders let him go, but it could have been because he was searching for that next opportunity. They did interview him already, but I think offensively, he was a previous head coach as well with the Cardinals. It didn't really go that well, but regardless, like I still think that he's a really good offensive mind that would work well with Lamar. So we'll see.
With the right tools, the coach can really go as far as they can. So I don't know. I think the people that they've interviewed so far are all very interesting choices. It all make a lot of sense. I'm very keen to see who emerges over the next few days. And I think that they said they wanted to be wrapped by Sunday on those. And then next week was kind of when they were looking at bringing people into Baltimore. So we should know more soon, very soon, hopefully.
Yeah, and there's I think they still haven't even interviewed Mike McDaniel, which I think again would be an interesting person to pair with Lamar, even if he was just brought in as an offensive coordinator. Not
That's my hope. I think the dream, what I've seen is, yeah, Brian Flores, head coach, and Mike McDaniel, offensive coordinator. And I
that
think
would be a hell of a
that was
pair.
people's big dreams over in Baltimore.
That would be a really interesting pair. I think that would be really good. Because I mean, like you have the defensive pieces there, it just hasn't been the best with Zach Orr.
Oh, and
Um,
Jim Schwartz, DC. That was everyone. That was people's dream trio. I don't think it's gonna work out that way.
no,
That's a lot.
I don't.
That's a
I
lot you're
think Jim
asking
Schwartz is gonna.
for.
Yeah, I think Jim Schwartz would either get a. I think he's gonna get more of a head coaching opportunity, or he's gonna stay with the Browns. I don't think he would
He's
jump
doing
over.
just fine in Cleveland. I don't think there's any need for
Right.
him to be. He's like,
Right.
Miles, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
good.
Yeah, I don't need to move off from having one of the best pass rushers, the best pass rusher in the NFL right
Yeah,
now.
exactly. But that's what the Baltimore fans are dreaming of, at least. That's their dream trio if they could pick.
Well, there you go. Obviously, we will know more in the coming days and the coming weeks. We will be back next week to talk all about who's finalists. I'm assuming Sunday we'll get more of an idea of who the finalists are.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think any team is going to be hiring anybody. Obviously, the Giants wanted John Harbaugh, so they made that big push for him. Understandably so. They didn't want him to leave the building without a deal. They got their guy, but everybody else is just kind of like meandering along and just interviewing everybody basically. Um,
Enjoying the pool.
yeah, yeah, no, really though. So I think we're still like probably a week and a half to 2 weeks out from knowing where these coaches are going to go to where. But the Ravens
Yeah.
remain a top candidate spot. We'll see who they go with. I'm kind of shocked they haven't talked to Mike McCarthy yet. I don't know if
You
they're
might be
going
on the
to.
list,
Yeah, yeah, I don't know if they're
We'll
going
get
to or
there.
not,
We'll
but
get there.
tons of experience there. But yeah, we will be back again next week. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Roundtable Ravens episode 6. Thank you so much, Billy, for joining me once again. Hopefully next week we'll have more of an idea about who this next head coach will be.
Yeah.